Welcome to nonstopneuron.com, where learning medical concepts is as easy as watching cartoons. In this video, we will talk about the mechanism of water reabsorption in different parts of the nephron. But for that, we need to see some basic points first. Inside the kidney, we have cortex and medulla. The medulla is further divided into outer and inner medulla. The osmolarity of the interstitium in the cortex is about 300 miliosmoles per liter. This is the same as in plasma. But in the medulla, the osmolarity rises as we go deeper. It's about 300 near the cortex and becomes 600 to 1200 at the apex of the pyramid. This rising osmolarity is called the corticomedullary osmolarity gradient. The mechanism behind this gradient is a huge topic in itself, so we will cover it in a separate video. For now, just remember that such a gradient is there in the medulla. Now, the arrangement of the nephron in this area is like this. Bowman's capsule and most of the proximal tubule are located in the cortex. The loop of Henle goes deep into the medulla. The distal tubule is located entirely in the cortex. And finally, the collecting duct goes from the cortex to the apex of the pyramid. So these were some basic points. Now let's get started with water reabsorption in different parts of the nephron. At the glomerulus, the water is filtered freely. Being the solvent, it constitutes most of the filtrate. So at a normal GFR of 180 liters per day, we can say about 180 liters of water is filtered every day. From this, 65% is reabsorbed in the proximal tubule, 20% in the thin descending limb. The ascending limb and early portion of the distal tubule are impermeable to water. So no water is reabsorbed from here. Reabsorption from the subsequent remaining portion depends on the body's needs. In normal day-to-day life, 14% is reabsorbed. So about 1%, or 1.5 liter water, is excreted every day. If the body needs to save water, the reabsorption increases. In such cases, excretion can get as low as 0.3%, or 0.5 liters. On the other hand, if there is excess water in the body, the reabsorption would be less. And in such cases, it can get as low as 5%. So up to 10% of filtered water, or 20 liters, can be excreted. Thus, water excretion varies widely, depending on the body's needs. Now let's see the mechanisms of reabsorption at each of these segments. As you already know, the osmolarity of plasma is 300 miliosmoles per liter. Now, water is filtered freely at the glomerulus. So the filtrate in Bowman's capsule also has the same osmolarity as plasma. Now come to the proximal tubule. Here, various solutes, like sodium, chloride, glucose, etc., are being actively reabsorbed. This creates an osmotic gradient from the lumen to the interstitium. So water moves down this gradient. This movement occurs by paracellular, as well as transcellular route. The transcellular movement occurs through Aquaporin 1 on the apical as well as basolateral membrane. As water reabsorption is proportional to the solute reabsorption, the osmolarity of the tubular fluid doesn't change. So at the end of the proximal tubule, the osmolarity is the same 300 miliosmoles per liter. So this is what happens at the proximal tubule. Now the fluid enters the thin descending limb. Here, the interstitium is already hyperosmolar to the lumen. So water moves down this osmotic gradient. This movement occurs only by the transcellular route. And the transporter involved is again Aquaporin 1. Now, this portion of the nephron does not reabsorb solutes. So reabsorption of only water concentrates the fluid inside the lumen. Depending on the osmolarity of the interstitium, the osmolarity in lumen can reach up to 600 to 1200. The thin ascending limb, thick ascending limb, and early distal tubule are impermeable to water. The cells here have no aquaporins. And the tight junctions between the cells are tight enough to restrict water movement. So water is not reabsorbed from this portion. But the solutes are reabsorbed actively. So the luminal fluid gets diluted. The osmolarity of fluid leaving this segment can get as low as 100 miliosmoles per liter. So this portion is also called the diluting segment. Moving towards the late distal tubule and collecting duct. The fluid entering this segment is already hypoosmolar. Furthermore, the interstitium is getting more and more concentrated as we go deeper into the medulla. This osmotic gradient drives the water reabsorption in this segment. This reabsorption occurs by the transcellular path. The transporters here are Aquaporin 2 on the apical side and Aquaporin 3 on the basolateral side. Very tight junctions between the cells do not allow paracellular reabsorption. So this is the mechanism of reabsorption. Now, as we saw earlier, the percentage of water reabsorbed in this portion depends on the body's needs. So let's see the mechanism behind this regulation. See, the Aquaporin 3 is always present on the basolateral membrane. But most of the Aquaporin 2 is stored on the membrane of intracellular vesicles. The stored aquaporins are not available for water reabsorption. So the reabsorption is less in such a condition. When water needs to be saved, the pituitary gland secretes vasopressin. It stimulates V2 receptors on the basolateral membrane, which leads to the insertion of Aquaporin 2 on the apical membrane. So water reabsorption increases. This increases the osmolarity of luminal fluid. In extreme cases, it can get concentrated up to 1200 miliosmoles per liter. On the other hand, when the body has extra water, the vasopressin level falls. Without vasopressin, the aquaporins come back inside the cell. So water reabsorption decreases. In extreme cases, it can get really low. Continued reabsorption of solutes in such cases actually makes the fluid even more hypoosmolar. It can get as dilute as 30 milliosmoles per liter this way. So these were the mechanisms of water reabsorption in different parts of the nephron. Now let's have a quick summary. Water is filtered freely at the glomerulus. So osmolarity of filtrate is 300. The proximal tubule reabsorbs 65% of filtered water. The driving force for this reabsorption is the active reabsorption of solutes, which creates an osmotic gradient. The mechanisms are paracellular movement, as well as transcellular route, involving Aquaporin 1. The osmolarity of the fluid at the end of proximal tubule is the same 300 milliosmoles per liter. The thin descending limb reabsorbs 20% of filtered water. The driving force is medullary hyperosmolarity. And the mechanism is a transcellular movement, involving Aquaporin 1. The osmolarity here gets as high as 600 to 1200. The ascending limb and early distal tubule do not reabsorb water. However, reabsorption of solutes here makes the fluid hypoosmolar, with osmolarity getting as low as 100. The reabsorption from the late distal tubule and collecting duct occurs by transcellular route, involving Aquaporin 2 and 3. The extent of this reabsorption depends on body's needs. Normally, about 14% is reabsorbed, and 1% is excreted. So normal urine output is about 1.5 liters per day. When the body needs to conserve water, the vasopressin increases the reabsorption. In extreme cases, the excretion can decrease up to 0.3% or 0.5 liters per day. The osmolarity in such cases can get as high as 1200. On the other hand, when the body has excess water, lack of vasopressin decreases the reabsorption. In heavy water load, only 5% is reabsorbed. So up to 10% or 20 liters of water is excreted. The osmolarity in such cases can get as low as 30 miliosmoles per liter. So this was all about the mechanism of water reabsorption in different parts of the nephron. As a bonus point, I have this summary table for you. You can pause the video to have a look. Or just take a screenshot. If you liked this video, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to subscribe because lots more to come. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.